Welcome back to the next part in my Dialing In series for the Line 6 Helix. Today I am taking a look at one of the coolest tones I remember hearing, and probably one of the tones that, I don't know, maybe had the greatest impact on me instantly when I heard it. It was Zakk Wylde's tone on the song Miracle Man from the No Rest for the Wicked Ozzy album, which was kind of everybody's first introduction to this Zakk Wylde kid, right? Nobody knew who he was. He was coming in and becoming, you know, the next famous guitar player, or soon to be famous guitar player for Ozzy, right? And Ozzy was just always known for bringing in amazing players. And Zakk did not disappoint by any means. So I just remember hearing that album back in, what was that, 1988, I believe. How old would I have been then? Oh geez, 14 I guess I was when this came out, and it was just like, I remember hearing that first riff and that tone and just, you know, squealing pinch harmonics and everything. It was just wild. And then the solo was just mind-blowing. So I thought, you know what, let's try and see what we can do with the Helix. The interesting part about this is, I mean, Zakk was famous for doubling. I even heard, you know, things of tripling guitar parts in the studio just to get that huge fat sound, right? But I thought, let's see if we can do something with this preset a little different, because a lot of times when I'm doing a studio production with the presets, if I'm sort of recreating the track, I'll double the guitars, pan them left and right, like most of these guys do in the studio. But I thought, let's see if we can do a stereo preset, where we don't double it. It's just going to sound fairly huge, just without having to do any studio trickery. So we'll dive into this in a second, and I'll show you how I did that. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold today. Kind of talking a little funny, a little bit rough. I apologize. Yeah, so, you know, it's one thing when you hear a studio production with layered guitars, and then you hear the preset just by itself. Sometimes you go, oh, this doesn't quite have that same huge effect to it. But let's dive over to HXN, and I'll show you what I did with this. Check out the performance video I did. I created a backing track, drums and bass, with Superior Drummer 3 and IK Multimedia Moto bass, and then I just played one single rhythm guitar track, stereo, using what you're about to see here, and then I used the exact same tone to do a lead part, the famous guitar solo that Zakk does on Miracle Man. The only difference is there's a wah that engages on parts of the lead. The way I did it with my setup over here when I'm actually tracking these videos and the parts, I don't have my expression pedal close by, and I'm on a stool, which makes it really weird to engage and disengage the wah pedal. So what I actually did is I recorded the dry, direct signal, recorded the solo with no wah effect, and then I went and punched it in on all the spots that had wah, and I just did the wah later. It was kind of a weird way to do it, but it just worked for my workflow today to get it done. So that's why you're not seeing me wahing away in the performance video or switching back and forth in and out. So just in case anybody was wondering, that's how I did it. It worked, and it's all right. So the parts where Zakk kind of comes in with those big wah parts, I threw it in there. So here's what I did, okay? So similar to what I normally do, I have my split crossover. I have I just used a low and high cut because I wasn't using my template on this. I just kind of went from scratch. All of these are stereo blocks, as you can see. So low cut and high cut. Low cut at 50 hertz. There's a lot of fat bottom end going on in this, and I didn't want to take the risk of chopping any out by going up to 100 hertz. High cut of 10 kilohertz, okay? Dynamics processor, kind of typical setup to what I normally have, peak reduction and gain at 5. Split crossover, pretty typical, set at 800 hertz, and I boosted everything above the 800 hertz, all the frequencies above that by 4 dB, didn't touch anything below it. I'll get back to this block in a second. The Brit 2204, you know, it was said that Zakk used these JCM 800s in the studio with a Boss Super Overdrive, so I thought I will do that too. I chose a 412 Greenback 25, one of my favorite kind of cabs that pair up well with the Marshalls. I went with a 121 ribbon at a distance of 1 inch. This actually had quite a creamy sound to it, for lack of a better term to describe it. It didn't have tons of super high-end cut, right? So I really like that tone. It had a real nice warmth to it. So I went with the ribbon. The Brit 2204, drive set at 6.5, bass at 10, mid at 5, treble at 10, presence at 10. That's kind of to compensate for the fact I was using that ribbon mic, right? And also boosting all the frequencies up above 800 hertz was also compensating for that. Channel volume at 7-point, master at 5, and I didn't touch the deeper controls. Now, to get that real heavy sort of gain that he's using on it, I slapped on the Super OD, which is the Super Overdrive, Boss Super Overdrive, with a drive of 5, tone of 5, and level of 5. All right, now it's a heavily chorused sound, as you can hear when you listen to Zakk play, a real typical thing for the 80s. So I went with the plastic chorus, just bounced between a few of them, and that seemed to sound good to my ear. It's a mono version because it's going before, it's just the straight guitar signal going into it. Rate of 0 and depth of 0.3. Not super, super in-your-face chorus, and there's a reason for that. I'll talk about it in a second. When I did have the wah come in and out, it was just the weeper. I threw it on there. I left all the settings the same, didn't touch that. Now, the reason I didn't go with sort of a more deep, heavy chorus sound is because I finally got a chance to try the double take effect. And a lot of folks had asked me about this in the past, and I really didn't like it. I'm really big in the studio on layering guitars, doubling guitars, panning them out left and right. Two different performances. That's what's going to give those big fat tones. I almost have never found a way to really recreate that with an effects pedal. Okay, so the double take is designed to give that effect of doubling guitars. And they have like this parameter called slop, which I'm guessing is to kind of make the two performances slightly different than another, like they would be. But again, the first times I tried it, I always got the feeling like it made it sound like I had a chorus pedal on, right? And I didn't like that because that's not the sound that a normal doubling will have, right? So it asks how many doubles you want, and I said 1, so that kind of doubles up what you're playing one time. I found after just messing around, the sensitivity on 10, honestly, I'm not sure what the sensitivity is controlling, to be completely honest with you. But to my ears, it sounded best on 10, and the slop on 3.0. My source is mono, as I'm coming through all mono blocks beforehand. It's just the guitar signal. So I set the source to mono, and that kind of gave me the effect I was looking for. So that was kind of cool. So that's basically what I have. So let's do this. Let's turn off everything except for our amp and cab and our high and low cuts. Well, I'll even turn that off, and I'll keep my dynamics processor on. So here's what it sounded like with just the Brit 2204 straight into the Greenback 25 with the 121 ribbon 1-inch back. Oh, one other thing I did do that I never, very seldom do, is I turned the input gate on with a threshold of -70. With all this processing, things were getting a little bit noisy, so I just wanted to do that, and, you know, it get rid of some of that crazy hiss. So here's just the amp. Sorry, I split crossover off as well. Here's just the amp with the settings I had, right? I'm also tuned down a half step, as Zakk was. I think it was important to get that tone too. You know, I could have made the backing track just in E, but I decided to go with the down tune because it gave that kind of something to the tone. So, okay, so what happens here now if I turn the high and low cuts back on? Very subtle difference, right? Okay, let's add our distortion in, our super overdrive. So that's going to be with those settings, everything at 5 across the board. Okay, I'm going to bring our chorus in. So that was the plastic chorus with these settings, very subtle. Okay, bring my split crossover in. You'll hear how that'll open up the top end a little bit. Okay, so it's coming together. Now let's hear what adding the double take in does. So here's the tone without. What a big difference, right? Again, let's hear without. So quite a big difference by adding that in. Now, the wah pedal that I chose was the, like I had mentioned, the weeper. So. And that's the sound it's getting. And that's the sound, right? All right. What do you guys think? Some very different stuff in there. I thought it came out sounding pretty good, and that would definitely, you know, do the job if we were covering Miracle Man without having to go and double the guitar. So go and listen to the performance video. Like I said, it's one rhythm guitar in stereo, one lead guitar in stereo, using just this patch with the wah sort of coming in and out on the lead part as is necessary. There's nothing else on there. I did it all this morning very quick, one take on the rhythm, one take on the lead, so if there's anything that's a little off there, don't scream or yell at me or criticize too hard. It was done real quick. This is all kind of last minute. I got home from traveling yesterday and wanted to put something out for you guys. So I'll have this up on custom tone. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope it's to your liking. Depending on the output of your pickups too, you may have to raise or lower the gain on the stupor drive or the amp. You know, again, you gotta tweak these things to your own acoustic environment, speakers, guitars, playing style, and everything. But that'll get you sort of close for Miracle Man, I hope. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I will be back soon with some more content. Please like the video, share it if you don't mind. Really appreciate all the support. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll have a lot more stuff coming soon. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care. Ciao for now.